I'm going to talk about this tonight, which is an unpopular opinion. And we talked about it on Ted's podcast as well, too. I don't think females should be cops. I just don't. And the problem I have with law enforcement specifically, actually with America, is I don't know where we got into this teach to the weakest link, right? Whenever I went to classes to learn how to teach, I went to an instructor development class for Niemert in Illinois to learn how to teach cops, and it was teach to the weakest link. Okay. We look at sports now, teach to the weakest link. I can't imagine. I'm a big fan of the Olympics, even though I didn't watch it this year. Clearly, I'm a fan of wrestling. I still coach wrestling, and I just got back into coaching, so it's very difficult for me to understand where can I go with these wrestlers. And I've had conversations with parents before I coach, like, listen, are you fine if during practice I have to discipline your child? No, they need it. They need it. Oh, please do. It's like, okay, great. I don't know where we're at. Used to be years ago. Shit, dude, you were pressured like crazy. I can't imagine what it would have been like to be an Olympic wrestler. What would that level, that discipline, the requirement on my end have taken to get to a spot that thousands, hundreds of thousands want, and in the single digits every year get, right? I don't know, but I know that you can't get to that level unless you are at the level of training, discipline, standard elevation, and you don't get. Why do we not apply that to law enforcement? So ultimately speaking, that's always going to be my argument as far as law enforcement. Well, got to humanize the badge. All this. No, dude, we got to raise the standards. Going back to it, and I think I was going to say this, but I didn't. If you raise your standards as a cop, what's going to happen is all your PC, if it's righteous lawfully, your stop, your report writing, your use of force, everything is you did it to the highest standards possible every single time. Your integrity is not going to be questioned because your department's going to look and go, this guy did what? No, 9 out of 9 times, he's always professional. If this is that 1 out of 10 times where he's not, we need to look into this, and they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt and do the investigation better. So, to make sure that, shit, you didn't do anything willfully or unlawfully, willfully violate somebody's civil rights. And if you do everything righteously, if you do everything lawfully, if you do everything to the highest standard possible, when the public comes to attack you, it is easier for everyone to rally around you and defend you. So that's my point. Raise your fucking standards if you're a cop, man. Females, let's talk about this for a second. This is an incident that happened in New York where I truly believe makes the case even more why females shouldn't be cops, and I'll talk about this. A repeat offender on probation viciously clobbered a rookie NYPD officer, knocking her down onto a Bronx sidewalk before the other cop pounced on him in a wild caught-on-camera arrest on Thursday evening. Ernst Delma, 41, slugged the female officer in the face when she tried to break up an argument between him and a group of kids on Classen Point Street corner. Authorities and law enforcement sources said. Footage captured by a bystander shows the hectic moments after Delma allegedly punched the officer to the ground about 7:10 p.m. on the corner of Rosedale and Randall Avenues. Blood streamed from the officer's face as a bystander helped her up, while the partner rushed the suspect, as the video shows. His pants and underwear embarrassingly fell down as he tried to resist the cop, who ultimately handcuffed him, leaving him naked, his naked behind exposed as spectators looked onto the wild scene. Injured officer sustained a cut to her lip and was taken to the hospital in stable condition, police said. A criminal complaint for Delma identified his alleged victim as Mary Faye, a rookie cop with just 8 months on the job. She has only made 5 arrests, according to public records. Delma's felony charges were not among them. As he was walked out of a Bronx precinct hours after his arrest, Delma sported a stitched-up, swollen eye and tried to show remorse for his actions. I didn't mean to punch her. I'm really sorry for doing it. I know I was intoxicated. I got assaulted by a couple officers in my face, he said, but nothing much, not too bad. This is I want to play the video, and there's a difference where I will never expect the public ever to benefit the cops with their support. All right, I want to preface that for a second. What I mean by that is the public is bloodthirsty. They're the mob. You have to look at an area like Chicago, where the state's attorney does not prosecute. This recidivism rate is insane. I think I commented on this the other day. There's a woman from Lake County who was arrested in Zion, Illinois, Lake County, on like her 7th DUI. 6 of them, well, maybe it was a guy or girl, whatever. 6 of them were in Wisconsin, and it doesn't surprise me. I arrested 40 phenomenal, righteous DUIs in 2015 in a 9-month period. One of the guys was a 6-time offender, and the state tried to talk me out of it. Out of all 40 of those DUIs, I never once went to court, never once got a subpoena, never once had to testify. Now, I always thought that's because my report writing ability is so fantastic. It links up to the body camera footage. They can't. There's no way in hell they can argue it. You got the evidence, the BAC level, or the blood draw, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. Boom. Well, I found out that a majority of the cases were pled down to reckless driving because it's a cash cow. You get somebody, and I don't know about how old you guys are. I'm 49. Before becoming a cop, I was a bartender in a 4 a.m. bar. And you'd see people, back when I was 22, 23, you'd see people disappear for 6 months and then coming back in like, dude, where the hell have you been? And they're like, I got a DUI. And they were embarrassed to say it. Now you listen to people talk, yeah, when I got my 3rd DUI, it's no longer standards, right? As a human being, how many people don't give a shit about the fact that they look like scumbags being arrested? If you are, I honestly think DUI should be punishable by capital punishment. I think if you're a drunk and you even injure a family in a car accident, you deserve the death penalty. I have anybody who has ever drove drunk, drove intoxicated. There is no value of you as a human being. None. You have no redeeming qualities. It's too impossible not to get a ride home today. It's just not. But what happens is, so let's put it this way. If that's my feeling and the state doesn't prosecute, now I'm a citizen, I see all this shit, right? And I see a cop on a video pull somebody over for DUI, and that's my frustration. My level of frustration with the DUIs is I think it should be death penalty, and I watch a cop just tune this guy up. I'm going to be like, yeah, fuck that guy up. He deserved it. That's the public. That's the public. The system doesn't work, so we think that the cop needs to be the one that's administering the punishment on the street. It's not. It is so not, and that's one of the biggest problems we have with the public supporting law enforcement. You guys can't do it. You can't lick those boots so hard you want to see them be brutal to people. You can't. In this video, first I want to play it. Let's take a look at it together and go from there. You have sound? I don't know if we have sound on this. So if we don't have sound, I know in other videos we did, people were laughing. You see a bunch of handcuffing and whatnot. CJ LaChapelle, thank you. I appreciate that. So it does... It kind of, it makes the oohs and the ahs and all that. I want to play this again. So, number one, if this guy's intoxicated, let's look at this for a second. Does that call for a strike in the face? Let's look at the use of force. I don't think so. I mean, can you articulate? I would, if I'm going to hit in the leg, I'm going to hit in the side, I'm going to hit in the arm. I'm not going to hit in the face. That's just me. Now, keep in mind, too, for all of you wondering, yeah, I'm a defensive tactics expert. I am I'm an expert in combat, hand-to-hand combat. I just am. I've been training for fucking years, wrestling, martial arts, defensive tactics. I know what I'm certified. I know what I'm talking about, and I will challenge anybody to that. So when it comes to this, I don't agree with a strike to the face, but it doesn't mean it's an unlawful use of force on there. Once again, you can articulate, subject was resisting me. He had already struck an officer, therefore I believe he may have struck, could strike me. I struck him in the face to change his demeanor, to get his hands behind his back. The problem, and their training sucks. They don't have tactics. You know, you can't break a guy's base down from here. This guy's a skinny little guy. He's drunk, all this shit. Hitting him again in the face. This guy, again, it would have been easy for me to take him in cuffs. I wrestled. It's very simple. I have a good ground game. The problem I have is this. Well, let's get a good picture of it. This is why females shouldn't be cops. Now, I know what you're going to automatically jump to is she couldn't defend herself. That's part of it. That's part of it. The problem I have is, did the emotional big brother side of the male cop take over and he went to defend her? As men, we have this ingrained DNA, hardwired masculine need to protect females and children. We do. So when you know you got a female working with you and she takes a beating, do you think that her taking a hit caused this cop to sit there and have Big Brother kick in and do things that may have been considered a little excessive? I 100% do. 100% do. And this is another thing too. If you can't fall, when you can't fall back, when you have no tactics to fall back on, you use your basic instincts, and that's where punching comes in because they have no ground game. They don't know how to do any control tactics. 2 shots that we saw on camera to the face, de-pantsing him, cranking on the arm. Okay, and that's shit control. Did they act this way a little bit rougher because their sister in blue got tuned up to where all of a sudden she's not functioning, dude? Look at her. She's knocked the fuck out. Now, can you imagine what happens if they were dating? What happens if he had a crush on her? What happens if he was a little attracted to her? What happens if she was flirting? What happens if she was one of the 5 on the department she was fucking like that other cop from that one department? Can you imagine what that cop would have done in retaliation for that use of force? Women are a liability to the community. They're a danger to the community. So number one, this is her fault. And I'll explain why with the human psychology of the shitbag criminal mind. He saw an easy target. You only attack easy targets. If that cop was a male who was 6 foot, why did he hit her, not the other guy? Because he knows he can't get away with it. But shitbag criminal, she's going to come up. She's the weakest link. She's the weakest target. Boom. You know, I'm going to have you tasting some pennies here for a second. Get knocked out. So she caused that by her presence because she's a victim. Same thing like schools and soft targets. And shooters go there because they know no guns are allowed on the property, right? And then the cop is out of control. I don't agree with his use of force. I just don't. If you look at it again, I just don't agree with his use of force. You should have sat there, gone for elbow or wrist control. Put your knee right in the back of his head. Go ahead, do a George Floyd. Get him. He's breaking a base. Boom, gut wrench the shit out of him. I don't give a shit. Break him down. He's not he attacked, but he's not attacking to get 2 strikes to the face. Whatever. These cops are emotionally frustrated because she got the shit beat out of her, so they take their aggravation out on the bad guy. She's a danger to the community. Community's not safe because of the shit trickle down the hill. That's all that is. It's the same reason why women are not allowed in the battlefield, right? You get 5 soldiers. One of them's a female. If the guys take a couple rounds, you know, how much care are they going to give their brethren versus what happens if she took a couple rounds? The male need to nurture, protect, provide, whatever it is towards the female in a military combat zone. You have similarities, but that's, to my knowledge, that's why they don't allow women out there. I don't know how things are. I'm not in the military. No military training, nothing whatsoever. But that's a liability. So when you look at this, the female need, it's a damsel in distress thing. Holy shit, it's not possible. It's not possible. 8 months working together, I have to assume if they're walking, summertime, they're partnered up, you're going to get intimate. And that's conversation. I'm not talking sexually intimate. I'm talking bonding, intimate. And when it's a guy friend of yours, yeah, you're going to fuck somebody up. But when it's a female friend of yours, that innate need, the compulsion to protect and to punish back Big Brother for your sister in blue, it's overwhelming. And that's what this was. Female cops are a danger to the community because of what they bring out into potential criminals, what they're not able to do. What if these cops are busy with some kind of crowd control and she's all by herself and this guy doesn't want to let up? Dude, now she's getting her head stomped on the ground by some drunk who's out of control with 7 felonies or how many felonies he had. You can't take care of yourself. You don't belong on the street. In the grand scheme of things, I'm tired of hearing that, oh, yeah, but I know a few female cops who are good. The majority cannot take a single male into custody. And I used to say it all the time, go to female defensive tactics classes. Which one of you could take, how many of you could take me into custody by yourself? Wrong answer. Every single one of you should have the mindset, there's not a fucking chance in hell that you're getting out of my custody. And they don't have that mindset. They just don't. They'd rather get the badge, become Instagram bikini models, show off their fucking 10% off discount code for whatever supplement company they're a part of, and play fucking cop. And have that authority of, I could do what I want, because then you get the female fucking attitude in it. And if you're going to say, I know a few female cops who could do the job. No, A, you don't. B, it has to be a standard set somewhere. The way that shit has been going lately doesn't work. It doesn't. And I brought this up to Ted in the podcast. If it's 2025 in the rest of August, September, October, November, December, we are 4.5 months away from 2025. 4.5 months away from 2025, and people are still using the excuse, well, cops just don't have the training they need. Are you out of your fucking mind? We've been saying that for the last 20 to 30 years. 2025 is around the corner, and you still have a never-ending supply of cops who fucking, they violate First Amendment on traffic stops, and they don't know it. Well, you know, we have to change. Shit has to change. The defund the police movement was stupid because you took away money that was going to send them to a fucking report writing class, or it was going to send them to a handcuffing class. It doesn't defund the police the way that you think it does. It just takes away from their ability to go to specialty positions and shit. That's all it is. It's not defunding it. You're not closing down law enforcement, and you still have a flood of shitty applicants coming in. If my generation was the generation that operated in negative reinforcement, which I do. If I'm going to go lose weight and you say, you could do it, I believe in you, you're a great guy, you could do all this stuff, I'm going to be like, fuck you. But if you go, dude, you're a fat piece of shit who's never going to see his dick again, fuck you, loser, I'm going to be like, oh, fuck you, dude. This generation can't handle that. When I went to FTO school to learn to do field training, the first thing the instructor told the entire class was, get out of your vocabulary because I said so. Can't say that. So you got to think about it. He went so far as to say, listen, if you get in a gunfight and you're trying to get your rookie out of the passenger side of the car and you say, because I said so, it doesn't fucking fly. So you have to have an explanation. So think about that for a second. You're now in a generation of whatever we've seen all online. They're entitled. They don't want to work. They're owed an explanation. Now you mix this shit with a bunch of people who we don't know why they're going into law enforcement. Do they want to make that proverbial difference? Do they want to make that change? Do they want to better themselves? Or do they want to be Instagram and TikTok models? Is that what they want? Fucking ridiculous. So if that's the case, holy shit, this is the new generation of law enforcement. They're a fucking joke. So you have to start with the standard. And you have to say, because Ted challenged me on it, you don't think any female cop? No, dude, you have to blanket the statement until the problem is corrected. Because the issue that he brought up was, we talked about, well, we have channels for disciplinary action. We have channels for retraining, avenues for proper hiring. They're not used. They're not used. Unless a cop is caught on camera doing something very offensive, and not all police departments even run body cameras, they're allowed to resign from a department and go somewhere else. They are. It's an epidemic because there's a shortage of cops. There's a fucking shortage. So it blows me away. Ultimately speaking, this is the point for this. Female cops are a liability and a danger for the community because of the culture they're coming from now. You can't take them seriously. and their ability, they're females, biologically weaker, and then what they do for both the bad guys who think they can get away with shit, and then the amount of resources you need to protect her. Maybe instead of one backup squad, you need 3 or 4. Or because they know, hey, it's Susie Jane on a traffic stop, you're going to get 5 or 6 squads there. And what about the rest of the town? So they're a liability. They're a fucking liability. And the few, I've talked about them before. There's 3 female cops I can name off the top of my head that were great. They did the job, but I stand by saying they shouldn't be cops. They shouldn't. Because I have to take that hard stance and standard, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense.